were able to create the experience of creating a new possibility that altered how you saw your life. How many of you were able to do that? Like, you were able to create it so that it altered your view of life. Look, that's the beginning of power. Think about that. You just transformed life where you are. Everybody that's here just did that. That's the beginning of power. Now, real power comes when you share and you enroll people in what you're creating. See, sharing a new possibility that you've invented, that will give you, if you go and share that with the people that you've been running that racket, it will give you a whole new relationship with those people. It will completely alter the relationship. It's like what Nimrod pointed to. Gave up, completed running the racket with his dad, boom, he's got his dad back. After how many years?
Over 30.
More than 30 years. Think about that. Every time you share that possibility with another person, you're in the process of transforming your life. No crap. Like, seriously. It alters reality. It literally reorganizes reality. It just blows my mind thinking about that. It truly blows my mind. Transforming your life and transforming your environment happens in the action called enrollment. See, we think it happens by doing things. I'm going to work harder. Doesn't work. I mean, I've worked harder into nothing. I'm still the same. I'm still the same a-hole. You know? Distinguish a racket, miracles happen. Or I could work hard and, you know, hope for the best. See, the true value of enrollment is that it causes new possibilities. It causes who you are as a possibility to be present for other people around you. See, you could enroll people who don't even know you had that racket. So, you know, when I enrolled my parents in the possibility of being a family again, when I gave up running the racket with them, that like completely altered who I was for them and who they were for me. They were moved. They were inspired. They were like, where are you? What are you doing? It was so weird for me to be having that conversation with them after years and years and years of just dragging my life across the bottom of the ocean to show them how wrong they were. Through enrollment, you create a world of possibility for yourself. And look, for me, that was just the beginning. I mean, the life that I live is just a miracle. I mean, think about it. I was present to it this weekend. I was like, holy crap. How am I here? How am I living this life that I'm living? That's possible. That's possible for every single human being in this room and every single human being in the world. That's possible. And how it happens is enrollment. So once you create the new possibility, you also then have the opportunity to enroll people who didn't even know you were having the racket and still produce the result. Like they'd be like, holy crap, he's like, Gabe, I didn't even know, but like, I kind of do that. Oh. See, until others are relating to you as the possibility that you've invented, you'll be out trying to express who you are in an environment that doesn't recognize it. They just know you as the same old Jay, who's always been that way. That's how he is. Except here you are, now you come out, you're like, I've got this new possibility of being courageous. I'm talking for you, Jay, I was making stuff up. But you go out, I got the new possibility of being vulnerable. Except they don't know you that way. They just know you as Jay, who always did this. Why? Because that's how you trained them, frankly. If we're honest about it. That's how you train them to know you. So through enrollment, you cause your environment to relate to you as the possibility that you're inventing, and that is a world of magic. That is an extraordinary amount of power. I mean, seriously, that's off the hook power. You know, just one quick thing. I think I shared this with you, Dave. You'll remember this, but I had these employees that it was a disaster. It was a management disaster. Seriously, it was like off the road. They weren't even talking to me. They're both looking for jobs. I couldn't get anything done. It was bad, right? And I distinguished the racket that they're not listening to me. And how I start being when they don't listen to me is I stop listening to them. I start trying to, and I get forceful. I'm going to make them do it. And it was going really, really bad. Really bad. And I would say it was because they're not listening to me, but you know what it was really about? I'm the top dog. You work for me. I know what I'm doing. You don't. So, what are you doing? That's what it was about. That was the payoff. The cost, it's like, sitting in a meeting was like being in the middle of the Cold War with Russia and the United States at a table. That's why our meetings were excruciating. I mean, excruciating, bad. So I distinguished the racket, I invented the possibility of being their partner, and I enrolled them in it. And they were like, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't blame them. They said, we'll see. But, I kept checking. I made a few promises to them, too, and then I started checking in on those promises every time we met. I said, am I keeping these promises? They said, well, you're not keeping that one. I said, okay, well, I'm going to do something about it. And I started managing that way. I also went and enrolled people all throughout my office who had no idea. People were blown away. People were like, oh, my God. My boss. I go in and enroll my boss in, like, the most heinous things, from a business perspective. Where I'm like, yeah, I went and said to her, I just shared everything that I just shared with you. And what's present, I'll tell you, that world, that is completely transformed. Those guys are like, they're on the team, we're producing results, we're rocking and rolling, and they love me. Now, I don't mean they love me like, but they love me. We're like back engaged in the game. We're working, and we're producing the results that we're there to produce. Got right back on the road. It took one conversation and about 2 weeks of managing that conversation to restore that whole thing. That's possible. That is possible. So, part of your assignment between now and next session is to take on having an enrollment conversation with at least one person a day. Sharing, it could be sharing a racket, it could be sharing an upset that you saw, it could be sharing from your strong suits, which we're going to get to work on here in a minute. But it's to have one enrollment conversation. And I'm requesting that you take it on. You know what I mean? Like, really, this is like, you could create miracles all around you. Barry shared with us the miracle he created in enrolling his community in that. I found a lot of value in sharing with large groups of people. You may have noticed. I get off on that. Now, I get off on it because it makes I love to see the difference be made. But whether it's one person or groups of people, doesn't matter. One enrollment conversation a day. Got that? I'll give it to you on your assignment. But you want to use your group, too, to support you with this. I'm requesting that as the groups actually get up underneath this and have people win in the game of enrollment. All right, good. So we're going to have another one of the major conversations of the Landmark Forum. You ready? We're going to have, this is another conversation for distinguishing who you're being in life. Your rackets could say, we've talked now a fair amount about rackets. You could say it's kind of the unproductive side of your personality. You guys can get rackets, pretty unproductive. Not very helpful. They're a barrier. Like while I was running the racket, I was hobbled in my ability to produce the results. It was like literally like, I'm going to have to end up doing all of it. Which is really bad. That's like horrible management. Like really bad, right? So your rackets are the unproductive side. Now we want to look at what you could call your productive side. We're going to inquire into the genesis of your identity, otherwise known as your strong suits. The genesis of identity was a key conversation in the Landmark Forum because, look, if you think that your rackets had an impact, wait until you get the strong suits. Wait till you see the impact of running strong suits. And it's interesting because it's covered up with a really good cover. It looks really good. So how many of you are at least somewhat clear about your strong suits? Okay, cool. So regardless of how clear or unclear you are in this conversation, it's designed to give you access to new levels of power. In this conversation, you'll be able to get an access for yourself into new possibilities that are not possible within your strong suits. When you're inside your strong suits, there are things that are not possible. That's going to become abundantly clear here in a few minutes. But you'll have access to whole vistas of ways of being, results that you could produce, and who you could be. So, more to come. So, in this conversation, what we mean by your identity is who you are for yourself at the level of your persona, your character, right? Your qualities, if you will. Right? In the advanced course, we dig this all the way down, you get all the way down to who you are at the level of self. That's rad, but we're not going to be doing that here. Right now, we're going to deal with your identity at the level of your personality. This conversation, by the way, is not true. Okay, so this is not something to believe. This is something to try on and look from. So I'm clear it's not true, although once we get into it, it's going to sound like I'm talking like it's true. Just no, I'm not. It's a place to look from, and in looking from this, you'll see something about who you are. So let's start with what your identity is comprised of. Consider that the identity equals a set of three strong suits. Is it two? Three strong suits. No, three strong suits. A strong suit, by the way, is defined as a way of being that you rely on to produce results and be successful. I'll say that again. A strong suit is defined as a way of being that you rely on to produce results and to be successful in life. Said simply, your strong suits are your strengths. But while your strong suits are your strengths, they're at the very same time an enormous constraint in your life. And why they're a constraint in your life is because they block out other ways of being. So let's hear some of your strong suits, right from your seat. Let's just hear a few. Yep, Daniel? Being patient, yep. Dave?
Attention to detail.
Attention to detail, yep.
Endurance.
Endurance, yep.
Funny.
Being funny, yep.
A good listener.
Being a good listener, yep. Melissa?
Work ethic.
Good work ethic, yep. Evelyn?
Outspoken.
Being outspoken, Eric?
Intelligence.
Being intelligent, yep.
Analytical.
Being analytical, sure. Danielle?
Persistent.
Being persistent. Yes, Jenny?
Being a people pleaser.
Being a people pleaser, yep.
Responsible.
Yeah, being responsible. Excellent. Well done. So, now the next thing that you'll notice, right? The next thing that you'll notice about your strong suits, it's not just a way of being that you have. Your strong suits are who you are for yourself. You have to be your strong suits. How many of you notice you have to be your strong suits even when it's not the appropriate response? You know those people that make jokes at really inappropriate times? That's you?
Yeah.
Me too sometimes, although I've improved a great deal. But that's a strong suit at play. You have to be your strong suits. Even when it's inappropriate to be your strong suit, you do it anyway. Why? Because you only got 3 gears. That's it. So when you look at your strong suits from that insight, you start to see the constraint that they are. For instance, if being analytical is your strong suit, you'll analyze everything. And while that will probably work really, really well in your job as an accountant, you'll also analyze your relationships, and that probably won't go so well. What you'll find is as you are your strong suits, as you get better at your strong suits, and you do more of your strong suits, you're going to find that ultimately they're unfulfilling. They never actually get you where you're trying to go. You might have moments of gratification, but never satisfaction, never fulfillment, because next thing, 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 that's not it, 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 that's not it. That was it for a minute, and then that's not it, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. See, the inauthenticity of it and why they're unique, because strong suits are unique, is because from one sense, they actually work. They actually have you produce results. So the other thing I'm not saying, by the way, is strong suits are bad. My strong suits I use all day, every day at work. I now use my strong suits in service of possibility, though. They don't run me, I use them. And except for sometimes when I don't, then I don't. Then they run me. And then I go, oh, I'm in the strong suit. The full range of being's not available to you when you're trapped in your strong suits. As a human being, you've got this huge range of being, ways that you could be. And you don't have access to that when you're trapped in your strong suits. By distinguishing the genesis of identity, you'll access ways of being that are only possible beyond your strong suits. So let's start with how your identity began. In this conversation, you'll have the opportunity to get back to the moments when you created who you are for yourself. So your identity did not begin when you were born, right? If you look at a newborn baby, there's no identity there. They're not shy. They're not, coy. They're not anything. It's just, the machinery of being a baby. Eating, sleeping, pooping, crying. That's it. That's it. I think that's what we get inspired about when we see babies, and we see the possibility of a human being. The full range of possibility. But your identity didn't begin when you were born. Then, around 1 or 2 years of age, language descended on you. You got language. And as language descended on you, you began to form an identity. You began to have some relationship to yourself and things around you. But that first experience, that first time was like completely unconstrained. There was no way you had to be. There was no way, you didn't have to prove anything. There was no looking good. I mean, are babies interested in looking good? Not even the slightest. Hungry, scream. Dirty diaper, yell. Tired, sleep. Food, scream. That's it. That was a time when life was exquisite. No looking good. Think about it. No looking good. You didn't have to make it with anybody. Everybody loved you. Brought you presents all the time. It's awesome. All there was back then was the joy of being and the joy of being alive. That period of time before the genesis of identity is a time of innocence and wonder and grace for a human being. But at some point, that time of innocence and grace comes to an abrupt end. There comes an actual moment in time when your identity comes into existence. That moment begins with a sudden and shocking realization that there's something wrong. Like, consider, there's a moment when a growing baby realizes for the first time there's something wrong. And where's there something wrong? Here. And who's here? I am. That moment, that's a fall from grace. That's an end of the innocence. Now, the other thing is it's inevitable. You can't shelter a baby from that. That's going to happen at some point for a child. It's coming. There's no escaping that moment for human beings. And once that moment happens, the future is altered forever. So in the development of your identity, there are 3 incidents that resulted in 3 strong suits. There's an incident for each stage of development: childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. So now, let's look at the structure for how your identity got created here. Both sides? Got it? Yeah. Three incidents that happened. Here we go. So let's look at the structure, right? In this early stage of life, something happens. You have the experience for the very first time in your life. Up until this point, life has been presents and food and people loving on you, and occasionally you're upset, but you're just expressing yourself. There's a moment when you get there's something wrong here. And that moment is a definitive moment. That moment was like nothing that had ever happened before. In that moment, for the first time, you have the shocking experience that there is something wrong here. That was your first experience that life was dangerous and risky business. In that moment, you say there's something wrong here and it shouldn't be happening. That moment, by the way, is so impactful so that for the very first time, you actually question whether you're enough for life in that moment. It's the first time you experience not being enough. Now that you're not enough, now that you're really not good enough, you have to figure out a way to make up for what you're not. So in a moment, in a conscious conversation with yourself, you make up a way of being to compensate for your not being enough. That becomes X. That's your first strong suit. So I don't know how old I was. It must have been like 2, maybe 3 years old, playing with my brothers on the floor. We were being bad. My mother came walking out and came walking towards us to, what walk moms do when they're coming to break something up. They're like coming out like that. Came out and had a seizure. She actually fell down and had a seizure. And in that moment, I was like, I didn't know what a seizure was. I just killed my mom. I was being bad, and I just killed my mom. And it really was like this moment. I was like, I don't know what's happening. My brothers are there. Both of my brothers are younger than me. I'm like, oh my God. I was being bad, and look what happened. So what did I say to myself? I failed to be good enough. I failed to be good. And right in that moment, I said, when I'm bad, people die. From now on, I'm going to be a good person. And like nobody's business, man. From that point forward, through my childhood years, I was good. I was like a star student. Everybody loved me. I was good about everything. I'd go and I'd say, oh, Mommy, look, I brought you coffee. Like that kind of good. like doing all that stuff. So that's the first strong suit. Your first strong suit makes up for something insufficient in who you are. Now you have a way of being that makes up for that. Then there's a second incident in the development of your identity. Your next strong suit gets determined in the second stage of life, in adolescence, where you have a sudden experience of not belonging. In that moment, you realize that your first strong suit wasn't enough. Clearly, X, this first strong suit didn't prevent this next break in belonging where I don't belong. But you don't throw away X, you come up with a second strong suit. So once again, you respond. You make a second decision on how you now have to be in the future to make sure that that never happens again. You want to start to get the compensation that there's something, the compensation for there's something wrong here of the strong suits. That's a quick aside. But you want to start to notice it's a compensation for there's something wrong, there's something wrong, there's something wrong, there's something wrong. So my second strong suit, I went to very, very religious schools where rock music was not approved of, and I wanted nothing more than to listen to rock music. And I had this teacher that I loved, Mary Turner. She was awesome. She like, I must have been like, I don't know, 8, 9. And I loved Mary Turner. And I brought this record my parents had gotten me that was, it was Christian rock, so it was good rock. It wasn't like the evil rock that you tell me about. This is the good rock. And I showed it to her, and she looked, and the guy had long hair on the thing, and she said, "No, that's evil. Don't ever bring it here again." And I was like, I'm good. Like right in that moment, being good failed. That failed. And all of a sudden I was like, I'm not like you. I said, I'm better than you. That became my second strong suit. I'm better than you. Everywhere throughout my life, I'm out to prove I'm better. And if I'm not, I don't play in that game. I don't want to be in the game where I'm not better. Second strong suit. Then you get to the next stage of life called adulthood, and again something happens. The incident at this stage leaves you with the very confronting experience of being on your own. Like that experience of like if you're going to make it in life, like really make it, you're going to have to do it by yourself because ain't no cavalry coming. Sorry. In this incident, you experience that if you're going to make it in life, like really survive, you're going to have to do it on your own. At this moment, you realize now X and Y aren't enough, but you don't throw those away. You come up with Z. You add a third strong suit. So in my third strong suit, I was in my first band, and I had my first band with my best friend, and I had my first love, and we were together. And what I found out, I can remember, I was sitting on my parents' room at home, sitting on the phone, and the singer from the band was telling me that the guitar player and my girlfriend had been having an affair for like 6 months behind my back. I was like 18 years old. And I can remember just sitting like stunned, just like. And the thing, this is going to sound really not great, but here we go. The thing I was most struck by was not that they were together, it's that I didn't know. I was pissed. I was like, I failed to be on top of this. I failed to be smart. I'm like, I'm stupid. I am stupid. I am so freaking stupid. Right in that moment, I said, that's never happened again. I'm going to be smart. Going from here on out, I'm on top of everything. And you bet I'm on top of everything. I'm like a bloodhound. So, that's the three strong suits. And just like that, your whole identity comes together. That's your whole identity. With those three decisions, the context for your life is forever set. After that moment, something's wrong here starts to taint everything. Here's the practice that I've been doing this week. I've just been going through life, noticing how often I'm experiencing there's something wrong. It's all the time. I look up for a second, I'm like, there's always something wrong. Always. And I'm not usually thinking about there's something wrong. I don't think to myself, oh, there's really something wrong with that. It's just like I'm swimming in water. It's like, that doesn't work. Look at that. What's that? Why are they doing that? Why did they say that? Just like that. It's really subtle. Parking my car. There's something wrong here. Shopping in Marshalls. There's something wrong here. Going home, looking at the cat. There's something wrong with the cat. I mean, I'm saying this because I'm inviting you to start to recognize it. And see, your strong suits are only there to compensate for that. And you're driven, I mean driven to be your strong suits. Driven. I had this one moment, I'll just share this one thing where I got how driven I was. I was in a meeting, we were interviewing this person for a director position, and there was like 5 people sitting in the room. I got a vice president, I got my partner, I've got this person we're interviewing as a director, and this other director comes into the conference room and he's like, oh, what's going on? And I've had this happen before, and I'm like, we've got the conference room, and he said, I'm supposed to be in here at 10 o'clock, it was like 9:30, I was like, okay, well, we're not done yet. And he said, oh, well, do you mind if I just come in and start setting up my stuff? And I said, no, that's going to be really disruptive. And he said, okay, and he kept coming in. And I turned to him and said, get Bill out, no. And he went out, and everybody's like, oh, I don't know. And right afterwards, when I saw him the next time, I apologized to him. I was like, wait a minute, why did I apologize? He was the one being weird. The thing I got is that my being driven, now you can hear being a good person in there. Oh, gotta go take care of that, right? I'm apologetic for myself. I apologize for myself all the time to be a good person. Think about how disempowering that is. I'm apologetic. He was being weird. What am I apologizing to him for? You get it? I had to do that. I didn't even go, oh, I'm going to go apologize to him. I just saw him and I was like, I'm sorry. Just like that. Your strong suits are like that. They're like, something's wrong. I got to fix something's wrong. And you'll find yourself just being driven by that. So, once you start to get, and you're going to explore this week, but once you start to get there's something wrong here is the context that you operate in life in, you'll see that that's where you develop your personality, and that's what your personality's keeping in place. That's when you'll realize why your identity's never given you satisfaction or left you with any real joy or fulfillment. It's always compensating for something's wrong. And as you compensate more and more and more for something's wrong, guess what you're present to? Something's wrong. More and more, something's wrong. It's like that, you're just resisting something. So your identity has given you a life of dealing with the experience that there's something fundamentally wrong with you and this thing called life. See, how many of you just went, there's something wrong? How many of you, honestly, you heard that, you're like, something's wrong, right? Notice it. It's everywhere. And if we'd really gone for it, if that had gone up a few notches, there would be, we could see everybody's strong suit would be right at play. What do people do when there's something wrong? Some people will hide, some people will go to the door to do something. You get all of it. We can see the whole damn thing right here in the room. You get it. It's like, you could say it's even like hearing that running footstep. Everybody's strong suit with, do I need to do something? Is there something wrong? Yeah, Daniel.
So you're saying that the core trigger is the experience that something's wrong, and that activates your strong suits. Are you saying that as an adult that any of our strong suits can be triggered by that fundamental feeling that something's wrong, or are you saying that I was beginning to hear like following that is kind of the key to discovering what the first one is, like where the first one appeared. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Well, no, I'm not saying it triggers it. I'm saying that the clearing that you are in life is there's something wrong. Not a trigger. I'm saying that who you are at a very fundamental level is that there's something wrong with you and this thing called life. And you just want to notice that.
So when I get present to the experience that there's something wrong, and then if I follow what comes up in me after that, like how I'm going to deal with that, that should be, I should be discovering kind of what my first strong suit is.
Well, I'm going to give you, in a moment, I'm going to give you some time to work on discovering what your strong suits are. You'll just start with what your strengths are. What is one of the things that's your strength? You said it earlier.
Patient.
Being patient. That's a great candidate for a strong suit. Great candidate for it. And part of it, we're going to give you some time to work on this in a little bit too, to really tease it out. So, and looking from the incident is useful. By the way, this isn't like, it's not that important that you get absolutely clear what the incident was, right? It's not that important. It's useful if you can get that, but if you don't, you know what your strong suits are. You know the things that you're good at. You want to identify what they are.
David, can I ask a question?
Sure.
You like said, patient and maybe things. Like, what's the difference between a strong suit and a virtue? Being virtuous and having a strong suit.
I don't know.
Because I see being patient as that's a virtue.
It could be, strong suits could be virtues. Being a good person, that could be viewed as a virtue. I'm just saying it's a strong suit. See, I wouldn't bring in other, like virtue's kind of a distinction. I wouldn't bring in another distinction into it. I just stick with the distinction strong suit. But I think you're right. It could be a virtue. Being a good person is a virtue. Being smart is a virtue. Forget it. I just wouldn't get hung up on that, though. All right, so where was I here? Now, the identity that you put together to deal with something's wrong is a complete pretense. Why do I say that? Why do I say it's a complete pretense?
We made it up.
Because you made it up. And then pretend like you didn't make it up. It's like, no, that's really how I was born that way. I have the the patience gene. So, your strong suits are inauthentic because they're not who you really are. But your strong suits are who you consider yourself to be. You made up your strong suits. And then, like we just said, then you act like you weren't responsible. So now I'd like to work with one or two people at this point, and I only want to work with people who are clear about their incidents, the incidents that we're distinguishing. So who would like to work with me? You got to be clear about the incident. Yes, Jenny and then Danielle. Well, actually, why don't we start with Jenny and then Danielle? We'll see, okay? Okay, let's see where we're at.
What do you say? Am I coming up?
Yeah, come on up.
Okay.
So first of all, welcome to the front of the room. I think this is your first time sharing,
It
right?
is, hi.
Excellent, welcome. So which incident is the one that you're?
Okay, we could do X, the first one.
The first one?
When I was
Okay.
a kid.
So what happened?
My cousin, how old was I? Maybe, I have no idea. Less than 10.
Yeah.
My cousin said something to me like, hey, are you going to the dentist, or are you, like, because I had, like, B's teeth when I was a little girl, I had, like, really big teeth, like, big teeth. But that was the first time, and I know, like, I can pinpoint it when he said that to me, where I was like, oh, there's something wrong with me. Oh, do I look funny? So he gave me that kind of, that was the incident.
I'll tell you, it sounds a little bit like this one.
But that one is pretty clear to me too, though. But
Well, the thing about it is this one is not likely to have happened by the time you were 10. This is more like 2 or 3.
oh, okay,
Well, let's just work with this right now. We will see what we get, okay?
yeah.
So-
Yeah, I don't belong.
Yeah, right? So so kind of paint the picture for us. Where were you?
My family was visiting Korea. We were visiting our extended family, and we don't see them very often. I think we were probably just visiting for the summer. And I'm a little sister. My sister, it was probably in her adolescence by then, and she was like really pretty and really tall, and I think I just felt like, oh, I'm weird looking, and I need to fix this.
What did you fail to be right in that moment?
I want to say like perfect, but I don't know. Like I feel like I failed to be perfect.
Yeah.
There was something wrong with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. So he said what he said.
Mm-hmm.
He said, are you seeing a dentist like this, like there's something wrong with your teeth?
Yeah.
Right? And what you said is that, well, you failed to be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you said it just before. What was it that you said that was wrong? Right in that moment. What did you say was wrong?
I said I must look funny, or there's something wrong with me. I need to fix it.
Good. She said, there's something wrong with me, I need to fix it. Anything about, like, the group or him or the family? I'm sorry, I'm assuming it was him.
Mhm.
Or the...
Yeah. Anything about them?
Yeah, I was curious. I mean, there may not be, and you can say, no, it's okay.
No, I don't think so. No one else made me feel that way, but I just remember that really stuck with me.
Yeah. Now, then what did you say, what did you then say to yourself to compensate for that there was something wrong right in that moment?
I said, well, I think I tried to think of other things that I could compensate for But that's also kind of tied in with like, I'm gonna be cute and funny. I'm gonna be a cute, funny little sister.
This
I'm
sounds,
gonna make you laugh and smile.
this sounds like a winner.
And I see that a lot in me, like just how I,
Well, you can see it right now.
yeah,
I mean
see,
that
just in the way that I
badly.
speak. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
You can get that though, that would be like a compensation for I'm weird, I don't fit in, whatever, I'm gonna compensate by being cute and funny. See, now if you look, how prevalent is that? If you look out in your life, how prevalent is being cute and funny in your life?
It's my life.
Hmm.
I'm not allowed to be, it's my life.
Yeah?
It is.
In what way? I mean, yes, I get that, but explain it, give us a picture.
In how I communicate with others, in, like, I need to be, like, making you, like, smile, and, like, making you laugh, and that's, like, how I connect with others.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's how she gets connected with other people. Driven. And look, if you look, what's the impact of being that way?
That I feel like I completely can't be around others if I'm not that. If I'm sad, or if I'm anything less than that, then I'll just be alone, and I'll show up again when I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty big impact. Wow, really well done.
Thank you.
Really well done. Really great. Danielle? Which one for you?
X plus Y.
X plus Y, okay.
I,
With the don't belong crowd.
yeah. Growing up, my mother never let my siblings or I have friends to our house because she kept the place so cluttered. It wasn't like there were like rats or like you know, urine all over the floor or anything like that, but she just kept it cluttered. And so she was too embarrassed to ever let anyone in. And so I remember in first grade in art class, I remember the specific girl, and I remember saying to me, "Why haven't I been to your house?" And at that point, I had thought in the form that made me really good at coming up with an excuse or like having something else to do, but I'm also thinking it made me a people pleaser because in conversations with people, I always agree. I never will, like if they want to do that, I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever you want. Like
Let's take it apart. So the kid said, why do I never come to your house? Why do I never get to come to your house? And right in that moment, what did you say was wrong?
Why can't I just have friends over like everyone else does?
Why can't I be like everyone else?
Yeah.
And then in that moment, what did you fail to be? Because you failed to be somewhere. It wasn't your house, it wasn't your mom. It was like your failure was where you were.
Yeah.
What did you fail to be in that moment?
A real friend, maybe, at that first grade level.
For yourself, what did you fail to be with this other person? When they said that to you, there was like a failure for you to be some way.
Like, I let them down, or like I don't know. I'm having a little trouble with that one.
It's fine. You're doing fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I struggled with it like all through like high school and stuff, but when I was like later in life, I could like tell some people, and they like just accept it or whatever. But I guess I just felt like I don't belong. Like I can't be with everyone else, or I can't be in a situation because I can't have friends over like everyone else can.
Yeah, I'm not like everyone else. I failed to be like everyone else.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Well done. Well done. And then what do you see? So you guys are looking for yourselves, right? Yes? You kind of get, like right in that moment, I failed to be like everybody else. And for a young child, we're kind of into that. Right? So what was the decision that you made? What was the way of being that you came up with that you added, the why here. What did you say that you had to be in the future to make sure this didn't ever happen again?
I don't remember ever my response. I don't remember the response then, but I remember other times I would come up with have a reason, always have a reason for why, because they would be like, why can't, I remember like later on in life, someone, like that person, there's a girl there, and she said, wait, so-and-so, my boyfriend, and who was there at the time, she's like, he's never been to your house? And then, again, I had to come up with something, but I also feel like it was a people-pleasing type thing as well, like, it was like, I don't know, it almost feels like a combination, like.
Fine. I mean, look,
Is
take
it possible to
it,
do
totally. Look, and I would just, it doesn't have to be all sorted out right at this precise moment, but I can get being a people pleaser, and if you look from how prevalent is being a people pleaser in your life?
Yeah, like I never, very, very much prevalent. I mean, I just say, okay, I'm not gonna stand my ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On anything, on some things?
With most people on anything, unless it's someone like someone I'm really close with that I can really be myself with.
Yes.
Around, or be myself
Got
around.
it.
Otherwise, I'll just agree to really anything or come up with a excuse for why I can't.
Yeah.
So.
All right, got it. Very, very. You guys, can you get that? All right, well done, Daniel. Thank you. Keep looking, by the way. Okay. All right, so consider that inside your identity, you're always dealing with the same fundamental issues. You're always left with the same question: am I smart enough, good enough, nice enough, important enough? However, you're the one that originally said that you were not good enough. You said it. And then you've been living in that world ever since, trying to overcome it. It's a trap. And you're constrained from other ways of being. Your strong suits are fixed. They're automatic. You don't even have to think about them. They think you. So your future is that you'll always be striving, it'll never be enough, and it'll never be any other way. Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
Great. See, the more you are the strong suits, the more you're making up for something. You'll always have the question, is that all there is? Always. Sometimes, people can avoid that for a while. We work on making money, and we work on getting status, and putting together, all the accoutrements of a good life. However, after we get all those things, it's hard to avoid the question, is that really all there is? I mean, think about the people who've gotten what we would describe as everything. They've got it all. A Michael Jackson or a Howard Hughes or an Elvis, right? They got it all. People spend a lifetime trying to get out of their strong suits. A lifetime. See, you can never get out. The point here is to get that you're trapped. That's the only way out of the trap. First, you get that even though your identity gets you success, it doesn't get you satisfaction. It doesn't get you fulfillment. The next thing is you get present to the constraint and the impact of living life inside your strong suits. Then you get that in a moment you made a decision and you've been living in that decision ever since for your whole life, however long that is. See, you decided your strong suits. In a conversation with yourself, you decided how to be, and then that decision became you. However, human beings, we're not responsible for our decisions. Instead, we think that we simply are the way that we are, and that's that. I am that way. I'm just, the good guy. That's the inauthenticity of the identity. So when you begin to be responsible for the inauthenticity of your strong suits, you open up a new realm of possibility. The good news here is that if you're willing to be responsible for the things that you do that bring you success, but only compensate for who you are, is there something wrong with life? Then you can begin to get access to a whole new realm of what's possible. Literally, anything is possible beyond that world. Anything. So in that new realm of possibility, you can invent new possibilities that for yourself in your life that you can't even see in the current realm that you're in. Then by enrolling others in those new possibilities, you start to make those new possibilities for being real in your life when you enroll people in. The point in this conversation, by the way, is not to escape your strong suits. It's not to get better at your strong suits. It's not even to make your strong suits, hone them. I'm going to work on my skills, my strong suiting skills. The point of this conversation is to be responsible for the trap that you're in. Distinguishing the trap gives you access to new possibilities. So who would like to share? What do you see is possible? Why don't you just give two people an opportunity to share right from your seat, just very short, like, half a minute or so. What do you see as possible in inventing possibilities that go beyond your strong suits? Who'd like to share? Please, Nimrod? Somebody over here? Please, Justin.
The one with I'm on my own, it's hard for me to include people in my life to take responsibilities in a shared life. Like when I was married, I took it all on and never let my ex-wife handle anything.
Yeah.
And it stressed me out. Like I couldn't handle it all.
Yes.
And so now it's still scary for me to let it go.
Yes.
But when I do, it's the relationship I have with that person, it's deeper because now they're responsible for a part of my life.
Yes.
And we're connected in that way. And it's really kind of refreshing to be able to just let it go and say, okay, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it. I can just walk away.
It's the possibility of being connected.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Isn't that great? Well done. Well done. We'll acknowledge Nimrod after Justin shares.
Still on what he said. If our results in life are determined by our actions, and our strong suits determine our actions, if we step outside of our strong suits, we get different results.
Anything's possible. So what do you see is possible for you, Justin, in your life and stepping into new possibilities that go beyond your strong suits?
Results that come from who I really am.
Yeah. Yeah. Like how would you describe that if you were to put a word like the possibility of being what?
The possibility of being true.
Yeah. Cool. I get it. The possibility of fully expressing who you are, being true, and then for Nimrod's the possibility of being connected. Those are results. Those are possibilities of ways of being that live outside in the realm of anything's possible. So let's acknowledge these guys. It's great. So, part of your assignment between now and next session is to take a walk down memory lane and look at your life from the model of the genesis of identity. It's going to be on the back of your assignment, and that'll be there too, so you don't have to worry about writing that down right now. But that's going to be your assignment, is take a walk down memory lane. So now we're going to have a conversation about really sharing your transformation. This conversation is designed to leave you empowered in sharing your transformation with your friends, your coworkers, your families, etc. Now, I want you to know something. Wherever you are in the conversation for sharing transformation, I'm inviting you to, in this conversation, begin to listen for yourself for the possibility of a breakthrough in your self-expression, in expressing the possibility that you are, being someone that can share and have enrollment conversations at a whole nother level. So how many of you have people that you're afraid that you've invited and they said no, or you have people that you're afraid to invite because they might say no? How many of you have people like that? Okay, awesome. So just a couple people right from your chair, why do you want to invite them? Well, for what? Why are you committed to that? Aaron?
Yeah, I'm committed to inviting them because they're people I worked with and things, or were friends with. Things didn't go so well. There was part of the people I've been inviting are ones where we shared some. We'll go ahead and call it an upset. Probably the right word for it. And I realized as part of going to the forum, I get that there was a way out.
Yeah.
And I want to share that with them too.
Yeah. Got it. So you want to share. So you saw that there's a way out, and you want to share with them the way out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Somebody else. Why? Why? Yeah. Please.
Because they're people I truly care about, whether it be friends, family, coworkers, and I want them to live a life where they can fulfill their full potential.
Yeah. Because you care about them and you want them to fulfill their full potential. Isn't that great? Well done. One more person. Yes.
One of my friends, ex-friend,
Yeah.
here, but she's so resistant. She knows everything.
why do you want to invite her? I got that's what's happening,
but,
why do you want that?
Because I know Pierre will benefit from it, and
Yeah.
she will be much happier with herself.
Yeah, she'd be happy. Yeah, it's really great. See, people invite people for lots of different reasons, and I'm not saying that there's an invalid reason to invite people, but I want to create this from a particular place. I want to create this conversation from anything's possible. At the heart of the way the Landmark Forum works is that anything you want for yourself or your life is available. Anything. You guys, many of you are just starting on this journey, but look, for myself, I look back at the life, at who I was before I did the Landmark Forum, and the life that I live now, and I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I mean, the person that I was would not be the person standing in front of you right now. Just wouldn't have happened. I'm living the life of my dreams. I'm living the life of my dreams. Because I got off it in the Landmark Forum. Like literally. See, that's those kinds of possibilities are what's available. Look, people don't think that anything they want for themselves in their lives is available, do they? Did you think anything you wanted for yourself in your life was available before the Landmark Forum? Hell no. It was like, people, we're just looking for a life that's a little better. Here's what I wrote down when I registered in the Landmark Forum. I would like to have a few more friends, and I would like a job I don't hate. That was the extent of what I thought was possible in life, going into the Landmark Forum. And you should know, if I got that, I would have been really stoked. I would have been really, really happy about having gotten those things. I mean, what I got was so far beyond that, it just blew my mind. But those are the kinds of things that are possible. So I want you to get present. I want everybody just to take a moment, 30 seconds each, and share with your partner one possibility that you got in the Landmark Forum that before the Landmark Forum you never would have thought possible. Never was going to happen. Just take 30 seconds each way, one possibility you got, never would have thought that was possible. Go.